What if your morning routine is secretly destroying your discipline? You've probably heard it a million times. Start your day right, and the rest of your day will follow. Everyone talks about the importance of a perfect morning, waking up early, exercising, journaling, having a productive breakfast. It sounds like the blueprint for success, right? But what if I told you that this seemingly perfect morning routine could actually be setting you up for failure? What if the way you start your day is the very thing that's draining your energy and killing your motivation before you even begin? Stick with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to share with you might just change the way you approach your mornings and your entire day. We're going to dive into why your current morning routine might be sabotaging your discipline, and more importantly, what you can do to fix it. Trust me, the solution isn't what you think. Let's break it down, starting with the most common myth about morning routines that could be holding you back. Everyone says the key to success starts with a perfect morning routine. Wake up early, meditate, drink a green smoothie, exercise, and plan your day. It's a formula that's repeated by motivational speakers, lifestyle coaches, and productivity gurus. But what if all this advice is missing a crucial piece? What if the perfect morning routine is actually a myth that's setting you up for failure instead of success? You see, for many people, the problem doesn't lie in their work ethic or their ability to stay disciplined during the day. It's in the way they start their mornings. A lot of us are conditioned to believe that the more structured, productive, and ideal our mornings are, the more successful we will be. We're told that if we wake up before the sun, get a workout in, eat a healthy breakfast, and set clear intentions for the day, then the rest of our day will automatically fall into place. But the truth is, this rigid structure doesn't work for everyone, and it could actually be harming your ability to stay disciplined and productive. Let's think about this. The first few hours of your day set the tone for everything that follows. But if your morning routine is overly demanding or filled with tasks that drain your energy, it can leave you feeling exhausted before you even get started. When you wake up at 5 a.m. to exercise, meditate, and write in your gratitude journal, you're pushing yourself to get into a high level of productivity before your brain has even had time to wake up fully. And let's be honest, how sustainable is that? It might feel great for the first few days, but soon you start resenting the effort it takes, and the weight of trying to keep up with this demanding schedule can start to chip away at your motivation. What many people don't realize is that the push to be highly productive first thing in the morning can lead to a mental burnout. Instead of feeling energized and ready to tackle the day, you might start feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or even like you're already behind before you've even gotten started. It's like running a race, but you've already drained your stamina in the warm-up lap. This is where the breakdown happens. Instead of easing into the day with intention and energy, you're forcing your mind and body into a state of high productivity too soon. Your morning routine is supposed to be about setting you up for success, but instead it can create a sense of urgency, pressure, and stress that kills your ability to stay focused and productive for the rest of the day. You might be thinking, well, doesn't a structured morning routine provide discipline and help me stay on track? The reality is, a rigid routine might create the illusion of discipline, but it actually comes at a cost. True discipline isn't about forcing yourself into a schedule that doesn't feel natural or sustainable. It's about understanding your needs, listening to your body, and working with your energy levels rather than against them. When we overschedule ourselves in the morning, we rob ourselves of the ability to adapt and adjust as needed throughout the day. A strict routine doesn't allow for flexibility, which is key to maintaining long-term discipline. The most disciplined people aren't necessarily the ones who follow a flawless morning ritual. They're the ones who are aware of what works for them, who build routines around their personal rhythm, and who understand the importance of listening to their bodies. And here's the thing, everyone's body clock is different. Some of us are naturally more productive in the morning, while others hit their stride in the afternoon or evening. Forcing yourself into a rigid morning routine that doesn't align with your natural rhythms is counterproductive. It can leave you feeling frustrated, tired, and disillusioned, which is the exact opposite of what a good routine is supposed to do. Think about it, some mornings you wake up feeling energized, excited, and ready to take on the world. On those days, your ideal routine might feel effortless, but on other days, you might feel sluggish, mentally drained, or just not in the mood to do a full workout and meditate for an hour. And that's okay. Your energy levels will fluctuate, and your morning routine needs to be flexible enough to accommodate that. Trying to force yourself to complete an exhaustive list of tasks every morning, no matter how good they are in theory, isn't going to help your long-term discipline. It's more likely to lead to burnout and frustration, making it harder to stay consistent. So why is this the case? It all comes down to how your brain and body function when you wake up. In the morning, your brain is still transitioning from a resting state, and your cortisol levels are naturally higher. Cortisol is the hormone that helps you wake up and feel alert, but it also creates a sense of urgency. If you start your day with high expectations and demanding tasks, your brain may feel overwhelmed by the sudden rush of to-do items. Instead of feeling energized, you feel burdened. By pushing yourself into high gear too quickly, you end up activating the stress response, which can lead to feelings of anxiety and decreased motivation. What's more, sticking to a perfect routine every day doesn't account for the fact that life is unpredictable. You might not always have the time to do everything on your morning checklist, and that's okay. When you set overly strict expectations, even the smallest deviation from your plan can feel like a failure. This mentality can create unnecessary pressure, making you feel like you've already failed before the day has even truly begun. It's a vicious cycle that keeps you from building the kind of self-compassionate, flexible discipline that fosters true productivity. Let's take a look at the other side of the coin. What happens when you embrace a morning routine that's flexible, compassionate, and aligned with your needs? Instead of waking up with a list of must-dos, you approach the morning with intention. You ask yourself what will actually help you feel energized and grounded today, whether that's a quiet moment of reflection, a quick stretch, or simply drinking a glass of water. A flexible morning routine allows you to listen to your body and start the day in a way that feels nourishing, not overwhelming. It's about starting your day in a way that sets you up for success, without feeling like you're running a race from the moment you wake up. So as we continue, ask yourself, is your morning routine truly working for you, or is it setting you up to burn out before you even begin? Understanding the real impact of a rigid morning routine might be the first step in breaking the cycle and building a morning ritual that genuinely enhances your discipline and overall well-being. The problem with most morning routines is that they're packed with so much to do, it's as if we're setting ourselves up for a marathon before we've even had our first cup of coffee. But here's the real kicker. Trying to accomplish too much in the first few hours of your day isn't just unproductive, it's actually draining. You see, your body and mind are like batteries, and when you wake up, you're starting on a low charge. Pushing yourself to immediately go from 0 to 100 can drain that battery before you've even had the chance to fully recharge. And the truth is, overscheduling your mornings might just be the secret energy drain that's causing you to lose your momentum before your day even begins. Imagine this. You wake up, and instead of easing into the day with a calm routine, you immediately start your list of must-dos. First, it's a 30-minute workout, followed by journaling, then a healthy breakfast and a meditation session to clear your mind. If you're really motivated, you might even squeeze in a quick review of your goals for the day. On paper, it sounds like a productive morning, right? But here's the problem. You've already exhausted yourself before you've even started your day. Why? Because you've packed too much into that short window of time. When you're trying to check off a dozen tasks before 9 a.m., you're sending a message to your brain that you're already behind and that you're running out of time. This sense of urgency, even first thing in the morning, can trigger the release of stress hormones like cortisol. What does this mean? Stress, anxiety, and a constant feeling of being overwhelmed, especially when your mind and body aren't quite ready to kick into high gear. And let's be honest, how many of you have started a new morning routine only to burn out after a few days or weeks? You can't just keep going at full speed without consequences. This is where overscheduling your mornings becomes dangerous. By setting these high expectations for yourself right out of the gate, you're asking your body and mind to perform at their highest levels before they've had the time to properly wake up. And here's the harsh reality. Most of the time, when we set ourselves up for this kind of intensity, we're not even doing the things we enjoy or that nourish us. We're simply following a checklist of things we think we should do, believing they'll make us more disciplined or successful. But what happens when we push too hard? We begin to feel drained. That initial burst of motivation wears off, and by the time it's only noon, we're already feeling exhausted. The worst part? We start feeling guilty. We've checked a few things off our list, but it feels like we're barely keeping up. The relentless cycle of pushing ourselves to meet these unrealistic expectations leaves us feeling like failures and this mental fatigue can be just as draining as physical exhaustion. Over time, this leads to a pattern of inconsistency. You might start a routine, feel great for a couple of days, and then suddenly crash. It becomes a vicious cycle, and your morning routine, instead of boosting your discipline, ends up weakening it. So why does this happen? Our brains are wired to crave reward, and when we're overwhelmed with too many tasks right from the start, we aren't allowing ourselves to experience that reward. Instead, we're creating a situation where every task becomes a challenge. The excitement and satisfaction we should feel after completing a small task are quickly overshadowed by the pressure of having to do even more. By the time we've done everything on our list, we're mentally exhausted and haven't had the time to enjoy any of it. The satisfaction of checking off tasks might feel good for a second, but it's fleeting. Now let's talk about the real cost of overscheduling: your energy. There's a reason we talk about energy management rather than just time management. You see, the more energy you invest in trying to be productive and perfect right away, the less energy you'll have throughout the day to actually do the work that matters. You'll end up exhausted before your workday even begins, and by the time you face real challenges or make important decisions, your mental and physical energy is depleted. You'll find yourself sluggish, unmotivated, and less focused, which completely sabotages your discipline. Think about it. Wouldn't it be better to ease into your day slowly so you can gradually build energy and focus rather than burning through your battery right away? Instead of forcing yourself to do everything first thing in the morning, how about prioritizing the essentials and leaving room for flexibility? What if the most productive thing you could do in the morning is actually not overschedule yourself, but give yourself a break from trying to do it all at once? This brings us to a fundamental truth. You don't need to do everything in the morning to be productive. It's not about packing every minute with a task. It's about prioritizing what truly moves the needle for you. Rather than doing a 45-minute workout, journaling for 20 minutes, and drinking a green smoothie, why not focus on the two things that make you feel energized, relaxed, or grounded? Maybe it's just a 10-minute stretch and a glass of water. Maybe it's taking 15 minutes to read something that inspires you, rather than forcing yourself to meditate because that's what everyone else is doing. The key is not to exhaust yourself with a packed morning, but to find what works for you, what you need to feel centered and ready to take on the day. When you create a morning routine that works with your natural energy levels, you avoid burning out, and you also build a stronger foundation for discipline. Instead of relying on sheer willpower to push through, you're working with your body and mind, allowing them to perform at their best. By allowing yourself the space to ease into your day, you set yourself up for long-term success. And most importantly, you stop trying to force yourself into a mold that doesn't fit. But here's the big takeaway: you don't have to do everything to be successful. You don't need a rigid checklist to start your day off right. In fact, overscheduling your morning routine can lead to more harm than good, draining your energy and sabotaging your discipline. Instead, focus on what works for you. And if that means adjusting your routine based on how you feel, then that's the best thing you can do for your mental health, energy, and long-term success. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into how motivation plays a huge role in your morning routine, and why relying solely on motivation can set you up for failure. But first, think about this. What would it feel like if you could start your day with just one or two meaningful actions that give you energy instead of depleting it? That's the kind of morning routine that builds lasting discipline. If you've been following along, you've probably started to realize that a rigid, overscheduled morning routine might be more harmful than helpful. But now, let's address a critical factor that many people overlook: motivation. It's something we all rely on, especially when we're trying to build discipline and achieve our goals. But here's the thing: motivation is a temporary burst, and relying on it as the sole driver for your morning routine is like setting yourself up for failure. Motivation is fleeting, and the more you rely on it to power your productivity, the quicker you'll burn out. But why does this happen, and how can we combat it to create a more sustainable, disciplined approach? To begin with, let's understand how motivation works. In simple terms, motivation is an emotional response that drives us to take action. It's that initial spark, that burst of energy that pushes us to start a new project, work out, or tackle a challenging task. Motivation feels amazing when it's present. It fuels our passion, sharpens our focus, and makes us feel like we can take on the world. The problem is, Motivation doesn't stick around for long. It's like a flash of lightning, bright and intense but gone in an instant. This is why so many people start strong with a new morning routine or goal, only to fizzle out after a few days or weeks. The real kicker here is that when we base our routines on motivation, we are setting ourselves up for a constant battle with our own energy. When we feel motivated, we dive headfirst into our routines. We get up early, meditate, exercise, write in our journals, we do it all. But when motivation fades, and it will, we struggle to maintain the same level of energy. The tasks that once seemed exciting now feel like chores. That enthusiasm you had on day one, gone. Instead of enjoying the process, you're just trying to push through because you should be doing it, not because you truly want to. What's even worse is that we often confuse motivation with discipline. We think that if we can just find the motivation every morning, we'll be productive and disciplined. But motivation isn't discipline. Discipline is the ability to do something even when you don't feel like doing it, regardless of motivation. This is a crucial distinction, and it's the key to long-term success. If your routine is based on motivation alone, you'll constantly struggle to maintain consistency. But when you develop a routine that doesn't rely on motivation, one that is driven by habit, consistency, and self-accountability, you set yourself up for sustainable discipline. So how do we break free from the trap of relying on motivation? The answer lies in creating a routine that focuses on small, manageable tasks and understanding that you don't always need to feel excited to start. It's about cultivating habits that don't require you to rely on bursts of inspiration, but rather on steady, consistent actions. Let's break this down. First, start by simplifying your morning routine. Remember, it's not about doing more to be productive. It's about doing the right things consistently. Instead of trying to do everything perfectly, focus on one or two tasks that you can easily commit to. It could be as simple as drinking a glass of water and taking 10 deep breaths. These small actions may not feel like much, but over time, they build momentum and set the tone for the rest of your day. The key here is consistency, not intensity. You don't need a full-on workout and a 30-minute meditation session to start your day right. Just choose one thing that feels achievable and commit to doing it every day. Second, understand that motivation won't always be there, and that's perfectly okay. Instead of waiting for motivation to strike, focus on creating habits that don't require motivation. Habits are actions that become automatic over time. When something becomes a habit, you no longer have to force yourself to do it. You just do it. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation to do it every morning, right? It's just a part of your routine. You can create that same automaticity with other activities in your morning routine. Start small, and once one habit is established, you can build on it. For example, if exercise is part of your routine, don't start with a 45-minute workout if that feels daunting. Start with 5 minutes. 5 minutes is enough to get your body moving, and once it's a habit, you can gradually increase the duration. The key is to create the habit first, and then the motivation will naturally follow. As you start to see progress, as you begin to feel the benefits, your internal motivation will rise. But it won't be the force driving you in the beginning. It will be the consistency of the habit itself. Another crucial aspect is to stop seeing your morning routine as a way to earn your day. We've been taught that we need to work hard in the morning to deserve a productive day, but this mindset can lead to feelings of guilt or inadequacy when we don't complete everything on our list. Instead, reframe your routine as something that serves you, something that sets you up for success rather than something you need to prove. Don't see it as a list of tasks you need to check off to feel good about yourself. Instead, see it as a way to nurture yourself and create space for growth, even on days when you don't feel super motivated. This shift in perspective makes the process more forgiving and less stressful, allowing you to stay disciplined without putting extra pressure on yourself. And don't forget about accountability. One of the most effective ways to build consistency is to have some form of accountability. Whether it's a workout buddy, a partner, or even just telling yourself that you're going to stick to a simple routine. When you share your goals with others or even write them down, you're making a commitment to yourself. And while motivation will come and go, your sense of accountability can help you push through when things get tough. Now, here's something important to consider. You won't always have the energy to do everything you've set out to do in the morning, and that's okay. There will be days when you feel tired, unmotivated, or off track. And that's perfectly normal. The key to staying disciplined isn't to push through every single day with a rigid schedule. It's about showing up, even if that means doing less. Remember, consistency doesn't mean perfection. Some mornings, you might only have the energy for one small habit, and that's enough. The point is to show up and keep building those small habits that will eventually snowball into something bigger. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to be perfect every single day. It's about creating a sustainable routine that works with your natural rhythms, not against them. When you build a morning routine that isn't reliant on motivation but instead is grounded in habits and consistency, you'll find that discipline becomes much easier to maintain. Motivation will come when it's needed, but you won't be waiting for it to start your day. You'll already be in motion, building momentum and making progress. Now that we've explored the dangers of relying on motivation and the risks of overscheduling your mornings, let's dive into something even more fundamental: the idea that discipline isn't about rigid control. We often think of discipline as the ability to stick to a strict, well-organized plan. You wake up early, follow your routine to the letter, and check off everything on your to-do list without fail. The truth, however, is that discipline isn't about perfect control or following a set script. It's about understanding your body's natural rhythms and finding a flexible routine that works for you. In fact, too much rigidity can actually destroy the discipline you're trying to build. You see, when we over-control our mornings, we set ourselves up for failure in two ways. First, we set the bar too high for ourselves. If we're constantly chasing a flawless routine, we risk feeling overwhelmed the moment we deviate from that plan. Second, we don't allow room for adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and what works for you one day might not work the next. If you're overly rigid in your approach, you'll find yourself struggling to adjust when things inevitably go awry, and that's when discipline starts to crumble. Think about it for a second. How many times have you felt frustrated or defeated because you didn't follow your exact routine? Maybe you woke up late, missed a workout, or couldn't finish your morning ritual. Instead of giving yourself the grace to adapt, you beat yourself up, feel guilty, and lose the drive to continue. This is the exact opposite of discipline. Real discipline is about giving yourself the space to adjust, knowing that consistency doesn't mean perfection. It's about showing up every day, not because you're following a strict set of rules, but because you've built a practice that works for you, even on the days when things don't go according to plan. But how do we get from rigid control to flexible discipline? The key is to recognize that discipline isn't about forcing yourself into a mold. It's about creating a routine that supports your goals while also honoring your personal needs. Instead of trying to force a rigid schedule on yourself, try adopting a more flexible approach, one that allows you to move through your morning in a way that feels natural, energizing, and sustainable. The first step in creating a more flexible routine is to understand your own energy patterns. Not everyone's best productive hours are the same. Some people thrive in the morning, while others are night owls. The key to building real discipline is acknowledging your unique energy patterns and adapting your routine to fit them. If you're a morning person, you might have the energy and focus to get a full workout in, journal, and plan your day. But if mornings aren't your prime time, then don't force yourself into a routine that demands too much of you. Instead, consider what feels achievable and empowering for you at that time of day. If mornings are rough for you, consider starting with something simple, maybe a short stretch or a couple of minutes of quiet reflection. The goal is to ease into the day and set a positive tone without overwhelming yourself. For example, instead of waking up and jumping straight into an intense workout or a full meditation session, you could try something more gentle, like a morning walk, which helps you wake up while providing both mental and physical benefits. It's a small action that you can easily commit to without feeling overwhelmed or drained, and over time you can add more as you feel ready. Another key to building flexible discipline is setting up your routine in a way that aligns with your priorities. Too often, we try to do everything: exercise, meal prep, meditate, work, clean, all before we've even had our first cup of coffee. We load up our mornings with tasks because we've been told that we need to be ultra productive from the moment we wake up. But here's the thing: it's okay to focus on what really matters. Instead of packing your morning with every task under the sun, focus on one or two priorities that align with your long-term goals. For example, if health is a priority, maybe your focus is on getting a bit of movement in each morning, whether that's stretching, yoga, or a brisk walk. If mental clarity is important, you might spend a few minutes journaling or doing a short mindfulness practice. Once you've committed to those priorities, you can build around them, adding other tasks only when you feel like you have the energy and time. Flexibility in your morning routine doesn't mean you don't have structure. It simply means that you're creating a structure that works for your needs, not one that's inflexible or rigid. By setting priorities, understanding your natural rhythms, and adopting a more forgiving approach to the mornings, you can create a routine that feels sustainable, energizing, and adaptable. And the best part, this flexible routine will actually help you build more discipline, because it's designed to work with your lifestyle, not against it. It's also crucial to remember that your morning routine doesn't have to be a marathon of productivity. Discipline is often misunderstood as being synonymous with constant hustle, but it's really about consistency and intention. If you start your day with something small, simple, and focused, like a few minutes of stretching, a quick reflection on your goals, or just a moment of quiet, you're setting yourself up for success in a way that feels natural and sustainable. By creating a morning routine that's focused on intention rather than achievement, you're building a disciplined habit without the burnout. Here's another important aspect. We often think that discipline means doing everything alone. But the truth is, accountability can be a powerful tool in building flexible discipline. When you have someone to share your goals with, whether it's a friend, family member, or even a community, it becomes easier to stay on track. Accountability doesn't mean pushing yourself harder. It means showing up for the things that matter, even when you're not feeling particularly motivated. A quick check-in with a friend or even a journal entry to track your progress can help remind you why you started and reinforce your commitment to your goals. This external support can provide a healthy level of accountability that fosters discipline without being overbearing or stressful. Finally, it's important to allow yourself grace and recognize that not every morning is going to be perfect, and that's okay. Discipline isn't about being perfect, it's about the small, consistent steps you take each day, and how you adapt when things don't go as planned. If you miss a workout, if you sleep in, or if your routine doesn't go the way you imagined, don't beat yourself up. Instead, recognize that you can start fresh the next day. The key is to stay consistent over time and to be flexible when life gets in the way. That's the essence of building real sustainable discipline. In the next section, we'll discuss how to create a morning routine that doesn't rely on a rigid, perfect structure, but instead fosters the kind of balance and flexibility that allows you to maintain discipline without the burnout. Now that we've explored how rigid control, overscheduling, and reliance on motivation can derail your mornings, let's take a look at something that can completely transform your morning routine, and ultimately your discipline: the power of small wins. When it comes to building discipline, it's not about running a marathon in the morning or hitting every goal before 9 a.m. The truth is, small wins are often the most powerful tool in building lasting discipline. But what do I mean by small wins, and why are they so crucial to your success? Let's dive into it. Small wins are those simple, everyday actions that make you feel accomplished and energized. It's not about the big, overwhelming tasks, it's about focusing on the small things that you can easily control and complete. Think about this. What would it feel like to wake up and immediately feel like you're winning? That's the magic of small wins. When you start your day with a series of easy, achievable tasks, you're creating momentum that carries you through the rest of the day. Instead of getting bogged down by a long list of to-dos or feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to be perfect, you're focusing on a few simple actions that build your confidence and set the tone for everything that follows. Why are small wins so powerful? It's all about psychology. When you accomplish something, no matter how small, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. This gives you a sense of satisfaction and motivates you to keep going. The more you experience this positive feedback loop, the more you're motivated to take on the next task, and the next, and so on. It's like a snowball effect. Start small, and that small win snowballs into bigger wins, creating a cycle of positivity and productivity. But here's the catch. The key to making small wins work for you is to make them a non-negotiable part of your morning routine. Instead of trying to tackle a dozen complex tasks, focus on just a few simple actions that make you feel like you're moving forward. This could be as simple as making your bed, drinking a glass of water, stretching for a few minutes, or even just taking 5 deep breaths to center yourself. These are small, easy tasks that require very little effort, but they help create a sense of accomplishment that builds throughout your morning. The best part about small wins is that they are sustainable. They don't require immense willpower or motivation, which means you don't have to rely on fleeting bursts of energy to keep you going. These small positive actions become part of your routine, and over time they build discipline without you even realizing it. Instead of feeling defeated if you don't check off every item on your to-do list by 9 a.m., you can feel good about the simple things you've accomplished, and that sets you up for success throughout the rest of the day. Take, for example, the act of making your bed. It's a simple task, right? But it's a task that's linked to a sense of pride and accomplishment. When you make your bed first thing in the morning, you're not just completing a small chore, you're setting the stage for a productive day. You're telling yourself, I've already done something, and I'm starting my day with a small success. That little action can help shift your mindset from one of overwhelm to one of control. It's a simple win, but it gives you a sense of progress that carries over into the rest of your day. And the best part, it's a task that takes less than 5 minutes, but can have a lasting impact on how you feel throughout the day. Another great example of a small win is drinking a glass of water as soon as you wake up. You might not think it's a big deal, but hydrating your body after a long night of sleep sets a positive tone for the rest of your day. It's something that's easy to do, but it also boosts your energy levels and helps your body function better throughout the day. It's a simple action that, when done consistently, contributes to overall well-being. These are the kinds of small wins that, when stacked together, lead to a disciplined and fulfilling routine. Now you might be wondering, how do small wins translate to long-term success and discipline? The answer lies in the power of consistency. When you make a habit of starting your day with small positive actions, you set the tone for your entire day. This sense of accomplishment fuels your motivation and makes it easier to tackle bigger tasks as the day goes on. Over time, these small wins build up, creating a foundation of discipline that becomes automatic. But here's the real game changer. The more you focus on small wins, the less pressure you put on yourself to be perfect. Instead of trying to follow a strict, exhaustive routine, you focus on the simple actions that make you feel good about yourself. And when you focus on the positive, it becomes easier to keep going, even on the days when motivation is low. When you consistently experience small wins, you begin to associate discipline with something positive rather than something you have to force. Discipline becomes a habit, not a chore. And the beauty of small wins is that they're incredibly versatile. You can adapt them to fit your needs, your mood, and your schedule. On days when you don't feel like doing much, just focus on one small win. On days when you have more energy, you can add a few more wins to your list. The key is to keep it simple and flexible. When your morning routine is filled with small wins, you're more likely to stick with it even when life gets busy or chaotic. These wins are small enough to be sustainable, but they pack a big punch when it comes to building momentum and discipline. If you're someone who's struggled with sticking to a morning routine in the past, I encourage you to give small wins a try. Start by picking 1 or 2 simple actions that you can commit to every morning. Maybe it's making your bed, drinking water, or spending a few minutes stretching. Focus on consistency rather than perfection, and over time, you'll find that your routine becomes second nature. You'll build momentum, feel more in control, and create a foundation of discipline that you can rely on, not just in the morning, but throughout the entire day. Ultimately, the power of small wins lies in their ability to shift your mindset. When you focus on the positive, even the smallest accomplishments become valuable, and by consistently stacking these small wins, you're laying the groundwork for long-term success and discipline. So next time you wake up, ask yourself, what small win can I achieve right now? It might be just the thing you need to build the kind of disciplined routine that lasts. By now, you've learned a lot about how the typical morning routine, with its overscheduling and reliance on motivation, can actually hinder your progress. You've also seen how small wins and flexibility can make a real difference in building a sustainable routine. But there's still one crucial element we haven't covered: the importance of rest and recovery in your morning routine. We often think that to be disciplined, we need to be constantly active, constantly productive. But the truth is, the most disciplined people understand the value of taking time to rest, recharge, and allow their body and mind the space to recover. This may seem counterintuitive at first. After all, Isn't discipline all about pushing through, doing more, and always being on top of your game? The reality, however, is that if you don't make room for rest, you'll eventually burn out. And once you're burnt out, your discipline will start to slip. Your ability to focus, your energy levels, and your motivation will all suffer. That's why it's so important to incorporate rest into your morning routine, not as a break from productivity, but as a vital part of building long-term discipline. Let's talk about the science behind this for a moment. Your body and mind need time to recover in order to perform at their best. When we sleep, our bodies repair and rebuild. Sleep is when our muscles grow, our brains consolidate memories, and our energy stores get replenished. This is why you can't expect to be at your most productive and disciplined if you're constantly running on empty. A lack of sleep or poor quality rest isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a recipe for disaster. Your mental clarity decreases, your ability to manage stress diminishes, and even your immune system becomes compromised. Without enough rest, everything else suffers. Now, I'm sure you've heard the advice that successful people wake up at the crack of dawn and hit the ground running. While waking up early can work for some people, it's not the universal solution to success. In fact, pushing yourself to be productive first thing in the morning, without giving your body the rest it needs, can quickly lead to burnout. True discipline doesn't just mean pushing harder. It means balancing action with recovery, so that your body and mind are functioning at their highest potential throughout the day. The question then becomes, how do you incorporate rest into your morning routine in a way that supports discipline? The answer is simpler than you might think. Start by acknowledging that rest is not the enemy of productivity, it's the foundation of it. You need to create space for rest, not just when you're physically exhausted, but as part of your morning routine to set a healthy, balanced tone for the day. One of the best ways to ensure you get the right amount of rest and recovery is by starting your day with a period of mindfulness. Mindfulness doesn't always have to mean meditation or yoga, though those are great options if they work for you. Mindfulness is simply about being present in the moment and giving your body and mind a chance to reset. It could mean taking a few deep breaths, sitting quietly for a few minutes, or even going outside and feeling the fresh air. It's about creating a space where you're not rushing, where your mind isn't cluttered with the next task, and where you can just breathe and be. If meditation or mindfulness practices don't work for you, another option is stretching. Taking a few minutes to stretch your body in the morning can be incredibly rejuvenating and helps to release any tension built up from sleep. Stretching doesn't require a lot of time or effort, but it signals to your body that the day has begun and helps to prepare you mentally and physically. Stretching can also help to wake up the muscles and improve blood circulation, which will energize you as you move forward with the day. It's a simple way to ease into the morning and prepare yourself for the tasks ahead, without immediately overwhelming yourself with too much to do. Another powerful way to incorporate rest into your routine is by prioritizing sleep the night before. The amount and quality of sleep you get is directly related to how well you perform the next day. If you're consistently getting poor sleep, no amount of early morning productivity or discipline will be enough to make up for it. So, the foundation of your morning routine is already set the night before. Prioritize a good night's sleep by creating a wind-down routine that works for you. Avoid screen time right before bed, ensure your sleep environment is comfortable and quiet, and try to stick to a regular sleep schedule. This is how you set yourself up for success the next day, by giving your body the time it needs to recover so you can hit the ground running when you wake up. Rest doesn't just mean sleep, though. It also means giving yourself a break when you need it during the day. This is where many people go wrong. They push through their morning routines, focusing solely on productivity, and then wonder why they crash by the afternoon. Incorporating rest means listening to your body and knowing when to take a step back. Whether it's taking a break for a cup of coffee, going for a short walk, or even just sitting in silence for a few minutes, these small moments of rest are just as important as the tasks you complete. They help prevent burnout and ensure that you maintain the energy and focus needed for long-term discipline. Remember, discipline isn't about doing more. It's about consistency, balance, and making the right choices for your body and mind. If you're only focusing on productivity without giving yourself time to rest and recharge, you're setting yourself up for a crash. Discipline doesn't mean pushing yourself to the limit every day. It means recognizing that rest is just as important as action and incorporating it into your routine in a way that allows you to perform at your best. So as you think about building a disciplined morning routine, don't overlook the power of rest. It's not about working harder or faster. It's about creating a routine that supports your mental and physical well-being. By making time for mindfulness, stretching, and ensuring that you get enough rest at night, you can build a morning routine that energizes you, sets you up for success, and helps you stay disciplined in the long run. In the next section, we'll explore how flexibility in your routine, combined with the power of rest, can give you the best of both worlds. The productivity and focus you need without the burnout. But first, remember this. Rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity. By making room for rest in your morning routine, you're actually investing in your long-term success. By now, we've covered a lot about how to build a more disciplined and sustainable morning routine. But we haven't yet touched on one of the most important aspects: how to ensure your routine actually sticks. We've all been there. We've set lofty goals for our morning routines, started strong, and then after a few days or weeks, found ourselves slipping back into old habits. The truth is, sticking to a new routine is tough. Life gets busy, we lose motivation, and sometimes we simply forget why we started in the first place. So how do you make sure that the changes you've made to your morning routine become permanent? How do you turn a well-intentioned plan into lasting discipline? The answer lies in building consistency, and consistency is the secret ingredient to making a morning routine stick. But here's the twist. Consistency doesn't mean doing the same thing perfectly every single day. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to build a new routine is expecting perfection. The truth is, life happens. You're going to have mornings where things don't go according to plan. Maybe you oversleep, or maybe you're feeling under the weather. And that's okay. The key to building a lasting routine is not to be perfect every day, but to be consistent in how you approach the process, even when things go off track. One of the best ways to build consistency is to start small and build up gradually. Instead of trying to jump into a full complex routine right away, start with one or two key habits that you can easily incorporate into your morning. It could be something as simple as making your bed or drinking a glass of water as soon as you wake up. These are small, manageable tasks that don't require a lot of time or effort, but they create a sense of accomplishment and set a positive tone for the rest of the day. As you start to build momentum with these small wins, you'll feel more motivated to add other habits to your routine. But consistency also requires patience. It takes time for new habits to become automatic, and you're not going to see overnight results. Instead of focusing on how much you need to accomplish in the morning, focus on the process itself. Embrace the idea that building a routine is a journey, not a race. The more patient you are with yourself, the more likely you are to stick with your routine over the long term. Another important factor in building consistency is flexibility. As we've already discussed, a rigid routine can quickly lead to burnout. So allow yourself the flexibility to adapt your routine as needed. Life will throw curveballs at you, that's inevitable. But instead of abandoning your routine altogether when things get tough, find ways to adjust. If you don't have time for a long workout, maybe you do a quick 10-minute stretch. If you're feeling overwhelmed, spend a few minutes journaling instead of trying to meditate for 30 minutes. The goal is to stay consistent with your intention, not with a specific list of tasks. This flexibility will make it easier to stay on track, even when life doesn't go as planned. Another key to consistency is tracking your progress. Sometimes it's hard to see the results of your efforts, especially in the beginning. That's why it's so helpful to track your progress. Whether it's with a habit tracker, a journal, or even just taking note of how you feel after a few days of following your new routine. Tracking your progress gives you a tangible way to measure your success and can help keep you motivated, even when you're not seeing immediate results. Plus, it's incredibly rewarding to look back and see how far you've come, which reinforces the habit and keeps you going. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, make your morning routine something that you enjoy. We've talked about how important it is to listen to your body's natural rhythms, and that applies here too. If your routine includes activities that feel like chores, it's going to be much harder to stay consistent. Find activities that you actually enjoy, things that make you feel energized, grounded, and motivated. If journaling feels like a drag, try something else, like reading or a quick creative activity. When you enjoy the process, you're much more likely to stick with it over the long term. In conclusion, building a consistent morning routine, that sticks is about finding balance, not striving for perfection, but committing to small, achievable habits that align with your natural rhythms. Start small, be patient, and allow for flexibility when needed. Track your progress and, most importantly, make it enjoyable. Remember, consistency doesn't mean doing everything perfectly every day. It means showing up and making small positive choices each day that add up over time. Once you embrace the process and let go of the need for perfection, you'll find that your new routine becomes a natural part of your life, one that sticks, even when things get busy or chaotic. As we wrap up, it's clear that building a morning routine that works for you isn't about following a rigid formula or relying on fleeting motivation. It's about creating a balance between structure and flexibility, action and rest, discipline and grace. If you've learned one thing from this video, it's that the key to lasting discipline isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. It's about starting small, understanding your own energy, and embracing habits that serve you rather than overwhelm you. Whether it's a glass of water, a few minutes of stretching, or just taking a moment to breathe, these small wins compound over time, creating a foundation for long-term success. But here's the real truth. Your morning routine isn't just about getting things done, it's about setting the tone for your entire day. It's about starting your morning with intention, making choices that align with your values, and building a routine that supports your goals without burning you out. Consistency, not perfection, is what will carry you through. It's about adapting your routine to your unique needs and finding what works for you, day in and day out. The journey of building a disciplined morning routine isn't always easy, and it's not about forcing yourself to check off every task. Some days will be harder than others, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up, even on the days when things don't go perfectly. The small wins, the moments of grace, and the flexibility to adjust are all part of the process. The more you practice this, the more discipline becomes a natural part of your daily life. So as you move forward, remember that your morning routine is yours to create. It's not about doing what everyone else is doing. It's about finding what brings you energy, clarity, and motivation. Whether you're waking up at 5 a.m. for a run or taking it slow with a quiet cup of coffee, your routine should be a reflection of who you are and what you need to feel balanced and productive. I encourage you to start small, focus on consistency, and don't be too hard on yourself when things don't go as planned. Building discipline is a journey, and it's one that's worth every step. Now it's time to put these ideas into action. Your mornings are waiting, and the more you show up for yourself, the more you'll be amazed at how far you can go.